watching the award-winning GHS-TV, Germantown Community Television, your hometown news and information station.
Welcome back. I'm Vincent Perryman, and you're watching LegalEase. Joining us on our show is Lynn Duncan of ID Theft Solutions of America. We are discussing identity theft. Before the break, we were discussing regulations on businesses and everything. As far as, you know, I run a small business, and I know I've got people's financial information and everything. Both for the people that are concerned about protecting their financial information and the businesses that are concerned about it. What are some of those regulations, and how do you wade through all of that to figure out what you need to do as a business?
Pretty much no matter what laws or regulations companies fall under, the Federal Trade Commission and the government's looking for at least three things to create that culture of security that everyone must do. One is to appoint an information security officer. Just like with the health industry, you have to have a privacy officer to protect that medical information. This would be protecting non-medical information, or NPI, non-public information, including some of those things we were talking about, the Social Security number, date of birth, background checks, that type thing. They also need to have a privacy policy or security policy to put in place, and it's written on how their information is collected, how it's stored, how it's disposed of. And probably the most important thing is that all of their employees be trained on what that policy is and what their responsibilities are to safeguard that information. They need to know that they can be held liable as well for the misuse and mishandling of that information.
So as far as, is it all federal regulations, or are there also state regulations out there on the identity theft?
There's federal and state regulations. Different states have some individual state laws. Some of them are FACTA, Fair and Accurate Credit Transaction Act. That applies to just about anyone who maintains and stores and disposes of information. There's a disposal rule with FACTA. There's now a red flag rule with FACTA that deals with anybody who is deemed a financial institution or that extends a line of credit to anyone. So now it will raise a red flag. There's about 27 red flags if somebody was trying to get that loan, get that information. So if things don't add up, that loan won't be processed. It's a lot of information and a lot of handling for that company, but it should cut down on identity theft. There's also HIPAA, which most people are familiar with when it deals with medical information. There's whistleblower laws. There's Gramm-Leach-Bliley laws. So there's like I said, there's a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. They all apply to different businesses in different ways, but they're basically looking for reasonable security measures to protect that information.
So from the perspective of a business, if a business was under the impression that, you know, perhaps some of this information that they're supposed to safeguard has gotten out, what action should they take?
There's actually different laws regulating that too, as far as notification. People have to be notified of that loss of information within a specific timeline. I think just about everybody's had some of those letters. Your information has been lost, or your information has been compromised. We don't think it's been used wrongly in any way, however. But they generally are notifying everyone by mail, and you're getting that letter. There's been quite a few lately in this area.
Okay. And as far as from the business perspective, I guess, there's companies like the one that you're affiliated with that go in and can actually help you sort of wade through all of this and put these procedures into place.
Absolutely. There's lots of different things going on out there. The biggest thing is to realize that it's truly not just an IT issue. Again, that's kind of a misconception of identity theft when it comes to businesses. We don't have anything in our computers. We don't have anything to protect. We don't take things from our customers. But again, you have to realize what you have on your employees, on your vendors, and on your customers. So protecting that information is definitely vital. And somebody come in and do a risk assessment. there are things that you may not even notice that are laying out or vulnerable and can create a threat, because the biggest thing is human error and not knowing how to handle that information. Having somebody actually help you appoint that information security officer, because the laws are always changing and evolving, so to keep you up to date with that information and how it applies to your company. Helping you put that security policy in place, and probably the most important is the training of the employees. What they found also is by offering voluntary benefits identity theft products, it can also help you mitigate your damages. Offering that for your employees, it can serve as an early warning detection system, letting you know something is happening internally.
Okay. Well, and then I guess the obvious question for everybody out there is if I do get one of these notices from a business, what steps should I take, and how should I go about, do I need to monitor all my accounts, and what if there's an account out there that I forget about but I don't monitor, things like that?
That's a great question. Because again, it's not so much what we know about. We always know that if our purse is stolen or information is lost, we contact our financial institution, we contact our credit card company. But there's so much more involved than that. In fact, the Federal Trade Commission has a great reference guide, and it's actually at ftc.gov/ID theft. But it's a complete free booklet that tells you step by step what to do. If you get a letter, don't panic. Your information isn't necessarily compromised. However, it can be out there. It can be being sold. You may not find out anything about it or any misuse of your information for over a year because of the information constantly being sold over and over and over again before it's used by anyone. So probably one of the best defenses you can have is to have a credit monitoring service. Somebody, again, to alert you if there's any change in your credit profile. If somebody's opened up an account in your name, if there's derogatory statements on your account, public records open up in your name, change of address, that's going to let you know that something is going on, because it's virtually impossible to do everything. You can cry wolf and put freezes on your credit. That is free. It doesn't cost anything. However, it's going to be just as hard for you to get credit as it is for somebody else.
Okay. When we return from our break, we'll continue talking about how to protect yourself from identity theft with Lynn Duncan. Please stay with us.
Do you ever feel that watching your teen grow up is like watching them